CGB, buddy, I've got so many more videos I want to do with you, but unfortunately, there's one problem hindering that. You know what that is?
Time. Money.
Well, yes.
Effort. Laziness.
Yeah, okay. Okay, you have to rub it in. You have to rub it in. But
okay, sorry.
what I was looking for was another summoning mechanic, because guess what? There's still one left that you haven't learned about. Aren't you excited? These are your favorite videos.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. One. Okay, it's the last one.
The last
Did
one.
You say
I
it's the
promise
last
you it's
one?
the last one. It is the last one.
It's the last one.
Then you
Konami, is it the last one?
You will, well, maybe they'll release a new one in between now and then. But for now, it is the last one. You will be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Master by the end of this video, because you will know every summoning mechanic, and then I'll quiz you on what those are, and you're going to not remember any of them. So are you ready to learn about Link summoning?
Link summoning.
Link summoning.
Like from Zelda?
No, wrong Japanese company. Okay. Wrong Japanese company. So,
okay.
If you recall from your video with Voxy, you may have noticed that there were two zones that were in between both of your guys' playfields. And I'll go ahead and bring up the board here so you can see. This is what is known as the extra monster zone. For anyone who is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Boomer, you may not know what this is, and so I will do my best to explain it. So basically, when they released the set Code of the Duelist and introduced Link monsters into the game, this was about, God, how long ago was this now? 7 years ago? 6 years ago, I want to say? It wasn't that. It was quite a bit ago, actually. This is what introduced the Link summoning mechanic. So the extra monster zone is dedicated specifically to summon Link monsters too. Both of these zones are shared by you and your opponent, but you can only occupy one of these two 99% of the time. We're not going to get into that today. So basically, if you put something in the left zone, you can't put something in the right zone and vice versa. But both of you essentially have access to these zones. So I am going to show you what is known as a Link monster. This is like the most basic Link monster as it gets. So give this guy a read.
Just a second. I haven't used my notebook in a while, but I got it back out.
Scrambling down some notes?
Maybe a little. Why are there two monster zones if you're only allowed to have one? Okay, anyway.
You're asking me, buddy. You're asking me.
And you said you might have noticed. No, I didn't. I honestly don't remember anything about this whatsoever from the duel with Voxy. It was information overload. If those were on the board, I don't even remember seeing
You were going to use them, to be fair, with the starter decks. So you may not have noticed, but you might have. So that's why I figured I would throw it out there.
Anyway, Lanphorhynchus.
Close enough. Who knows how to say this?
Lanphorhynchus is a level 1 light with no. It
doesn't have a level. Link monsters do not have a level, notably.
Okay. Its attack is 1200. It says Link 2.
Correct.
There's no defense.
Link monsters do not have defensive stats. They just have what is their Link rating, and I'll get to that in a moment. And all you can see, it just requires 2 monsters to summon.
How? Okay, and all it says is 2 monsters. That's all it says.
Right.
So it has no defense. It has no level, and it has a, what did you call it?
A Link rating. So this is a Link 2 monster.
A Link rating.
So how you summon a Link monster is based off the requirements on the monster, similar to a fusion monster, a synchro monster, an Xyz monster, what have you. All you do, in this case of Lanphorhynchus, is you take 2 monsters, send them to the graveyard, and then you can Link summon the Lanphorhynchus into the extra monster zone. Are you still with me?
No. Link summon it into the So is that on the battlefield?
Correct. That is that zone that I showed you that is shared, that both of you occupy.
You have one spot typically.
Yes.
That you both occupy. That maybe it matters if you're left or right. I guess you'll tell me later. But that's where one of these Link monsters at a time can be. You get one spot for them.
You get one spot.
Okay.
However, you may have noticed that underneath the artwork, there are arrows pointing to bottom left and bottom right. These correspond with the respective zones on the main monster zone, the 5 zones you get to play your monsters. So if you place it in the left zone, you could place it's pointing to the far left monster zone and the middle. If you played it in the right extra monster zone, it's pointing to the middle or the far right. Does that make sense?
It's pointing there, but what does that mean? That you can do something to transfer it to that spot?
So there are some abilities that will require the cards to be linked, which means they're being pointed to in one way or another. But we'll get to those later. For the most part, though, if you want to link summon an additional link monster that doesn't use the Lanphorhynchus as a material, you have to be pointing to one of these other zones to link summon a second monster into that zone. You're not allowed to just immediately like bring them out willy-nilly, if that makes sense.
So, and then if you link summon a new monster into the link summon zone that you picked before for the other link monster, then does the Lanphorhynchus, it moves where it's pointing?
No, the Lanphorhynchus just stays in the extra monster zone. And so it's pointing to one of those two corresponding zones in the main monster zone in the row of 5. So if you wanted to, if you had, let's say, 2 other monsters and for some reason wanted to summon a second Lanphorhynchus, you would link those 2 off, and then to wherever the zone it's pointing towards is where you can summon that link monster.
Oh, that's where the new one goes.
Correct.
So it creates a new extra monster zone just by where it goes.
Sort of, yes. I think you understand it for the most part. Now, we'll get into, you can keep linking in this extra monster zone. So, for instance, there's monsters that require, let's say, they might be a Link 3 monster that requires 2 monsters. You can use a Link 2 monster, and any monster counts as a Link 1 material, because it's not a Link monster, and send those to the graveyard to summon a Link 3 monster into the extra monster zone, if you so wish to do that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But I wanted to start with this because it has no effect. It's just a vanilla. It's just there for the arrows. Funny enough, this card actually did see some play just because of the fact it gave arrows. But that's not what we're here for. So I'm going to be showing you these Link monsters, and you have to figure out if they ever got banned. I know you were not ready, so I'm not going to ask. So I'm just going to send you the first card.
That's a good idea. Okay, cool. Linkuriboh.
Yes, close enough.
Linkuriboh. Okay. Linkuriboh.
Yep. Very iconic card in Yu-Gi-Oh! You started off as just being like one of the first cards ever printed, and he's taken on many forms. This is one of them.
Attack 300, the Link 1. Dark.
So we need 1 monster, and in this case, it's 1 level 1 monster in order to Link summon him. So he's very easy to summon as long as you have a level 1 monster to bring him out.
Now, do you have to sacrifice that monster?
Correct.
Or just
it sends it to the graveyard, so it's similar to sacrificing, but instead of...
It's a material.
Correct. It's a material. It's a Link material is what we call it.
But this, like, in this case, the requirement is just literally any monster.
Any level 1 monster.
Even something you want dead.
Yep. And instead of, like, tribute summoning from your hand...
Does it have to be level 1 only?
For this card, yes. They do have different requirements.
Okay.
I showed you the very basic one just to get your feet wet.
When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute this card. Change that opponent's monster's attack to 0 until end of this turn. If this card is in your graveyard, quick effect. You contribute 1 level 1 monster to special summon this card. You can only use this effect on this once per turn. Well, if you have level 1 monsters, which you would only put this in your deck if you had pretty good access to level 1 monsters, you can negate an attack and then you can bring it back and negate another attack. It's perfectly fine stall tactic card, right? Just does that job. So the arrow going directly straight down, I'm like, how much should I be trying to solve the value of having multiple arrows in a specific direction, etc.? Like, should I be trying to read into that for an amount of value from the card?
No, I will say, like, arrows that point down are generally the best just because it typically will point to a zone that you can then summon another Link monster to. I will say, for the most part, in evaluating these cards, you can ignore the arrows unless a card has an effect where the arrows matter, and there might be a couple of those that it'll say, it might say, you'll actually see in the next card there is a card that does require the arrows, and it'll make sense when you see it. It's pretty intuitive.
Okay. Because I swear to God, Cimo, if you say one thing you may have missed is that this only has 1 arrow.
No. That's actually, I will say Linkuriboh was actually very good for having a down pointing arrow, because I think every Link 1 prior did not point just straight down. I think it was like up or right or something bad. So that is relevant to the card. It's not in for your evaluation, you can ignore that part of it. I was just explaining the mechanics to you.
I feel like a lot of what makes this card good or bad, and and maybe I'm thinking too fairly already about, okay, what makes linking unfair? it doesn't seem that different from other summonings.
No, it's
You
actually
have an
very
extra spot.
it's very similar to synchro summoning in a lot of ways, except you don't need a tuner. You just need whatever the materials it lists. So some people would call it easier synchro summoning.
Sure, yeah, and it doesn't feel as like a card that just enters and immediately summons something from the extra deck was just access to a resource you didn't have before. The resource is kind of a place to put a monster that you otherwise would not have. That seems, I don't know.
It gives you a 6th monster zone, hypothetically. So yeah. You're not wrong.
So that is like a free resource, but I mean, only if you have 5 other monsters does that really matter.
Sure, which is like, that can happen, but I wouldn't say it's like super common, let's say.
Yeah. So it's more of a negligible effect than starting with a 6-card hand, which is what like a companion type mechanic from Magic would have become.
Sure.
So I'm immediately like trying to find like what I'm missing that makes this broken on it being a Link monster, and I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
There's the somehow I feel like this is more tied to like how many level 1 monsters are there that you want to run that either enter and do something good or die and do something good, so that you're getting extra from this card. And
sure.
I don't know. That's like, is this tier limits? I don't think we got tier limits, right? Those got banned. There's no way. I do like that it has an effect in the graveyard, so if you do mill it or discard it, you can still use the ability.
But
it's kind of just a fog.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you keep the level 1 stocked, you can keep doing it, but all it does is negate. That's a hard once per turn, right?
Correct.
You can't, if you have 3 of these,
you can't use it.
They don't
Correct.
stack
You only
like
get one.
that. Yeah.
You only get one.
And it's kind of like holding down 1 card. It's like a Maze of Ith from Magic, which is a land that just taps to turn something around and it doesn't attack.
Okay.
Let me try to think of something else that this would do. You contribute this card, change its attack to 0 until the end of this turn. If there are other things that somehow proc off of an opponent's monster's attack, like, I don't know, maybe it's a good neutralizer for that. It's a way to deal with a card without killing the card, and I've seen that there's plenty of things that happen when your stuff dies, plenty of ways to bring it back from the graveyard. So dealing with something without technically removing it and still making it take a slot is probably of value. But I don't have, like, it doesn't feel broken, and I'm like in trouble for that. But I'm gonna say no, this card wasn't banned, and you're gonna teach me why I'm stupid.
Well, it's time to teach you why you're stupid, CGB, because this card is banned. So it's a bit.
Wait for it.
It's
Wait
a
for
bit.
it.
Wait for what? Wait for what?
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Oh, you're
please.
coping so hard. No, this card's gonna get banned.
Okay.
So the reason this card is banned is because there are a incredibly high amount of level 1 monsters that you want to get into the graveyard for some sort of value. And Linkuriboh lets you do that immediately because you can just normal or special summon that level 1 monster, depending on what it is, immediately link it off into Linkuriboh, and now its graveyard effect immediately procs, or it has the ability to do something that gets you just a ton of extra resources. So it's a way just to get, like, free cards onto the field, and there's just so many level 1 monsters that this card, like, unlocks in, like, an abusable sense. That make it extremely good. And so that one was a bit tough in that sense because it's like you would have had to, like, if you saw some of the level 1 monsters, like, that might help you out a little bit. The attack negation effect is actually still relevant for what it's worth. It doesn't come up, like, all the time, but it is something that is, it can be good. But it's mainly just because of the fact that it immediately gets stuff into the graveyard to start, like, triggering effects and getting combos going. Which is ultimately why they had to ban it. That's why they had to ban it.
So whatever format we're looking at, what year is this?
This card got released in, what a great question. I want to say 2018?
Okay,
2018,
not as recent.
I'm good.
All right, not quite as recent as I thought. I thought, like, the last summoning mechanic might be 2 years old or something. Okay.
No, this is a 7-year-old summoning mechanic, I would say. Yeah, it's actually the longest period, I think, in between, like, us having a new summoning mechanic. Usually we're getting one every, like, 3 to 4 years, so it's been going on 7 years now. Yeah.
And in this format, you're saying anything that can just, like, tribute, bin, chuck a level 1 monster in the graveyard is ban potential.
Yeah, so the reason for that is a lot of these level 1 monsters have, like, resurrection effects. So, like, if you go summon thing, make Linkuriboh, trigger thing in graveyard to resurrect itself or summon something, like, from the deck, you can then link those two into, like, a Link 2 monster and immediately start climbing into your Link plays for very little or no investment whatsoever. Which is why Linkuriboh was so good and got banned as a result of it. It took a while. Linkuriboh got banned relatively recently, all things considered. But it was like a pain point for a lot of people that were wanting this card banned for a while.
I'm already terrified. Like the very first one, I couldn't. There's like 4 rabbit holes off this card alone.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay.
let's continue going down the rabbit hole with our next card.
Oh, what the hell is this? Oh my gosh. We're getting emo in here.
We're getting very emo in here.
Dark the Dark. Who's doing this? Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy.
Welcome to Konami. My
What
friend.
the? Oh my god. All right. Oh, wow. It's a dark monster. That's crazy. The attack is 1850. The link. Hold on.
Rating.
The link rating is 2.
Correct.
And the cost is 2 monsters, including a dark monster.
Yep. So as long as one of the two
This-
is dark, it meets the requirements.
This card is always treated as a familiar processed card.
You can ignore that. That's for other stuff.
Cool. Oh, by the way, it has arrows to down left and down right.
That's relevant. That's actually
There's
very
that.
good. Down left, down right
Okay,
arrows are very
great.
good.
Okay. You can target 1 dark monster in your opponent's graveyard. Special summon it to your zone this card points to. If this link summoned card is destroyed by battle or is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while in its owner's monster zone, don't know why that was so hard, you can add 1 dark monster with 1500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of this once per turn.
Doesn't Yu-Gi-Oh rock?
Does it? Where's that? I don't see that. Hold on. If this link summon card is destroyed by battle, so the creature that you get the dark monster from your opponent's graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
If it's destroyed by
No, if
battle
dark is
or
destroyed.
a card effect.
If dark is destroyed, not the monster it brings back.
Okay, the term if this link summoned card is destroyed by battle is okay.
Correct.
It's not link summoned. This card is
It
link
should just
summoned.
say if dark is destroyed by battle, which is stupid. But they did that because if you resurrect dark somehow, it won't trigger because it has to be if it was link summoned. If it's like reanimated from the graveyard, it's not seen as being link summoned, so that second effect doesn't apply.
You can add 1 monster. I mean, that's got to be good. Tutor with everything, right? That's got to be good. I mean, if this is in the, what is it called? The link zone, the extra monster zone, can it be tributed? Is it just like it's on the battlefield?
Yeah, it's all the same properties applied to so you could tribute over it. You could use it for other link monsters or other card effects. Yeah, it's just another. Think of it as a 6th monster zone. Yep.
All right, and it can attack whatever, just like everything else. Okay, destroyed by battle. All right, and everything has haste, so this can just ram into something to die, so that you can go get the other thing in the same turn in the post-combat phase. That's nice. And if this dies, you keep the thing you got from your opponent.
Correct. It does not say otherwise.
A lot of Magic cards would say when
They
this died,
tie
you
it to the
lost
monster.
control.
Yu-Gi-Oh
Yeah.
has some cards like that, yeah. But as Yu-Gi-Oh has aged, there's very few that are tied in that way.
I mean, there's a lot of problems. This seems like a very good card specifically against somebody playing dark monsters. You said historically dark monsters are the most popular. This
may or
gives
may not be
you-
why I showed this to you, because I will
Yeah.
say there is one of these for each attribute, but I picked the dark one specifically because I thought it was more fun.
Okay. Yeah, this one, you play this, and if they don't have a dark monster, you still get to attack something, tutor up something else that might be relevant. And it's kind of cool that, if that's the case, then you have a silver bullet for the other deck that doesn't run dark monsters in your deck. So maybe this becomes one of the better cards that you can go get.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, it's if they play dark as well and you get their thing, now you have 2 items. You can kill this off to go get another item, or you can treat them as materials for something else because you have
You're
2
cooking.
things.
You're cooking.
So then when this dies, you go get another thing. So then you do another. This is so Yu-Gi-Oh.
It's so Yu-Gi-Oh. It is. They played this in tournament format. You want some help there?
Oh no.
Because they were all dark.
That makes sense. Okay, so this is Tier Elements. Tier Elements is in this range, in this time. Oh god. I mean, at worst, it's really, it's probably an auto, like, would be a sideboard card in your Link deck, but I have a feeling that if this is better than the other things with attributes, that this is the one that got played the most. It doesn't seem like it has a downside, really.
I will say this is the one that got played the most. And for reference, all the other 6, or 5 rather, because there's 6 attributes. The other 5 are all the same, except just swap out the attributes. So like there's a fire one, there's a earth one, whatever. But yeah, I would say he is the best.
What if you play a dark and get your opponent's dark? Do you get another thing?
No, because the other dark will not be pointing to monster zones because it points bottom left, bottom right. It'd be pointing to the spell and trap zones, and you can't summon monsters.
I see how that works.
But if it pointed to left, right, you could do that.
Great. Can't wait for that. Can I just get a marker and change that? Like,
No.
is that how power creep works in your game?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
We wish. But you could use that other dark, like you said, for another Link summon. So now you have a Link 2 dark and a Link 2 dark. You could either go into a Link 3, because you could consider one of those Link monsters to be a Link 1 and a Link 2. Or, because they're both Link 2, you can actually put both of them into a Link 4 monster. Which is not the highest rating, but it's a pretty high one. So it's a free way to just, we call link climbing, where you're just going from, for instance, like with Linkuriboh, you bring back a thing, you can link into a dark, because Linkuriboh is dark, steal your opponent's dark, and then you can link up into a Link 3 or 4, so we call that link climbing.
So I'm gonna straight up become your comment section. Like, pitch you on an idea. Play against me in Paper Yu-Gi-Oh! And just color in some of these cards and see if I can notice. That'd be a game. Hey, which of these cards is actually cheating?
Good luck. I might not even know, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, God. Did they have to ban this? It has so many red flags. So many red flags. First of all, emo kids, red flag. Red flag. We don't need more of this.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh's
We don't need more of this. My God. Okay.
The other 5 are waifus, for what it's worth.
And you showed me this one.
Because I had to show you this video before we get to the waifu video. Think about it.
So you admit there's a waifu video. Let's go.
You know, people can be excited for that. You know, they can always throw in their suggestions, but the waifu video sounded like fun. But before we do that, I have to show you. Funny enough, when I was actually going to do the waifu video with you today, but I realized so many waifus are actually in Link monsters that I have to show you Link monsters first so you actually understand the concept.
Foiled my own waifu video.
You did, actually. So it's your fault that we're doing this, to be fair.
I hate this. There's so many things wrong with this before, and now it's even worse. Let's see. Okay, this card. There's like interesting stuff about it, right? The opponent has to be more mindful of how they fill their graveyard.
Yep.
Yeah,
it does interrupt your opponent's graveyard too, which is very relevant. Yep.
Yep. That's
you could just
really
like
cool.
take the thing and just keep it so they don't have access to it.
Yep. That's pretty cool.
That also has haste, remember. No summoning sickness.
Yep, they have to be mindful about the size of the stuff they put out and if this trades with it, which allows them access to something else in their deck that you don't want them to have. That's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of things that are like modern Yu-Gi-Oh about this, but also like it seems really busted, but so does Yu-Gi-Oh. For some reason, like I would not be surprised at all that this were banned, but I'm also just looking at this as like from the stuff you showed me, is this what Yu-Gi-Oh players like to do? You know, is this just what we're here for? Is this how we play the game these days? Maybe in a world where I looked at like the dragon stuff that just gets stuff on stuff on stuff. This looks like a version of that, but it does have a restriction. It needs the dark monster thing.
Oh yeah, that's
it does have that. It's probably not hard, but it does give the opponent something to think about. It seems like so much. I was wrong about the last card, which I don't think was quite like when I put Linkuriboh against Dark. That's not a fair fight to me.
Okay.
Dark seems so much better.
Okay.
What I mean, Linkuriboh might make Dark's attack 0, right? Oh no, I trade it and go tutor for something like a Linkuriboh. I don't know. So yeah, so like I'm looking at these cards and I'm like, one looks so much better than the other, but this one already got banned, and I know it has a different effect.
They can both be banned. That is an option.
I know this also throws those things in the
graveyard. You might learn
graveyard.
a trend about this video.
Ban the emo kids. Let's do it. ban this card.
He's fine.
It's so good. Okay. Right.
Yeah, he's just fine. He's just a very good card. Like I don't think I've ever heard anyone complain that they want Dark banned or any of the Charmers.
Nah,
for that
come
matter.
on.
No.
Come on, let me know in the comments.
No,
Rise
he's
up.
just a very good card. Again, like against non-dark decks, which there are, this may shock you, there are non-dark decks that exist. For a while, some of the best decks were actually fire. And water right now is also a very good deck in some instances. So, it depends on the format for one, and for two, like he's just a solid value card. Like there's like I've never like heard anyone complain like, damn, Dark he has to get banned, man. That card's way too oppressive. No, he's just a very pushed card, and not much else to say. He's just very good in all respects. Your assessment and everything's correct. Yu-Gi-Oh is just like that high power that a card like this can exist and is fine.
A tutor and
steal something out of your opponent's grave in one card.
On one card.
On one card, and it's fine.
Totally fine. But heaven forbid we sacrifice a level 1 monster.
Heaven forbid. I will say it's funny. Dark, they released one Charmer per set. Dark was like one of the last ones because they knew like Dark is the best attribute. They released them in like order of like worst to best. It was very funny. We kind of wish we just got them all at once because that would have been just a lot nicer, but it is what it is. All right, you're 0 for 2. Let's see if you can make it up with this one. Next card.
Curious. The Lightsworn Dominion is a light monster with 2400 attack. The link is 3.
Correct.
The link rating is 3. And this says 3 monsters with the same attribute but different types. 3 monsters with the same attribute but different types.
Sure. So like hypothetically,
a warrior and something else. And
so like if you go back to like Linkuriboh and Dark, they're both dark monsters, but Linkuriboh is a Cybers and Dark is a spellcaster. So if you had a third Dark that is neither of those types, you could link all 3 of them into Curious.
All right. If this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it, you can target 1 card in your graveyard. Add it to your hand. You can only use each of the following effects of Curious once per turn, and then we have some effects. If this card is link summoned, you can send 1 card from your deck to your graveyard. If a card is sent to you from your deck to the graveyard by an effect, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard.
It's a very Magic-y style card, I feel like.
You think so?
Kind of. Like when you play him, you get to mill any card you want by choice, and then triggers the second effect. You get to mill 3 more on top of it.
You have to sacrifice 3 monsters with the same attribute but different types.
I will say, though, you can use tokens as well. So if you have like a dark token that's, you know, not a Cybers or a spellcaster in my hypothetical, like tokens can also be used for link material.
Don't even feel like we talked about tokens in your game hardly ever. Okay.
They're not as common as Magic. You guys have them way more frequently than we do, but we do have some. You remember Scapegoat? That's like one of the first cards I showed you that summons 4 goat tokens.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
That card actually got limited during this time because people used it for 4 free material for link monsters. So it actually had to get limited, which is very funny.
Wow. Okay, but they don't have different attributes, so it doesn't work.
Not
with
for
this.
Curious, but for like other things.
Yeah. If this face-up card is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect while its owner controls it. So they're saying if they yoink this and sacrifice it, that's fine.
Correct.
It doesn't trigger
it doesn't
the
work.
effect.
Yeah, it needs to be in your control, and then they have to do something to it.
The face-up card is destroyed. You can target 1 card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. I remember you saying the card that was in the anime couldn't exist because that's too good in the game.
Oh, Altar of Restoration? Yeah.
Yep.
There are very few effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! That let you get any card from your graveyard back to your hand, unless it's like within a certain archetype, let's say. But the fact that this generically
here's one of them.
Correct, but this also came a lot later on in the game. And it has like a steeper summoning requirement as well. But
you have to link summon it to basically entomb and go get a thing. You can only use each of the following once per turn. So when you get the thing, you also mill 3? Am I crazy?
You can use both. You can use both.
Okay. Well, obviously they do that. So 4 materials in the graveyard plus the 3 things you sacrifice. I mean, if you're playing a deck that uses the graveyard, it's full. It's got things. It's got 1 thing of your choice, 3 things at random, and 3 monsters. Just from playing this. That's a lot of graveyard.
Lightsworn, for context, if you forget, is the 2007, 2008 version of Tier Element, where the whole goal was to just mill a bunch of cards, high roll a little bit, and their main boss monster required you to have like multiple light swords in the graveyard to summon it, and it was a board wipe built into a monster. So Lightsworn is naturally a mill deck. So not that you have to play this in a Lightsworn deck, but just for context, that's why it's like a miller type card. It just fits with the theme of the archetype.
It does feel like, why does it have the up arrow? What does that mean?
So, good question. This is the first time you've seen that. That does give your opponent a zone that they now have a second zone to summon a link monster to, because you're providing them with an arrow. So they could decide to summon a monster in their other extra monster zone, assuming you summon Curious in yours. But they could also link summon to the arrow you're giving them as well. So you kind of give them, you could consider it like a downside of playing a card like this, because giving them an arrow gives them the ability to summon more of these link monsters to the field without them having to go through the steps to do so.
Whoa. Without having to go through the steps. So they don't have to like pay the cost?
Oh no, they still have to like have the material, but they can summon 2 link monsters without having to like use their own arrows, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, because the board space is kind of a cost.
Yeah,
okay.
Because if it's on a blank field and you summon a link monster, you have no other arrows to work with besides whatever the link monster gives you. Where some monsters give the opponent an up arrow, and it gives them an extra zone, so they can summon 2 link monsters without having to worry about linking it to their own monster. And some of these have effects where it's like, oh, if it's linked to an opponent's monster, it like does a thing. So there are some like counterplay cards as well.
I mean, it feels like a good Yu-Gi-Oh card for sure. It's definitely a graveyard in a box and a bit of a tutor. These are all things that Yu-Gi-Oh players really like, really like. And if there's a card out there that just returns everything that went to the graveyard this turn to the battlefield, this thing popped off pretty hard. But
they have had cards that do that.
It's not just free. It's got costs. It's like 3 monsters with the same attribute but different types. You're gonna tell me to assume that's payable. I assume it is, but that's still a cost. There's no way that can be nothing. And giving the opponent a spot is kind of a weird extra thing. I don't know how much to
you can ignore it. It's not that relevant. It can be, but for the most part, it's whatever.
How important / useful is it to have like things going up the number of links? Like, is this being a link 3 relevant in getting the next thing, the next link monster? Does that matter?
Potentially, because if you have a link 3 monster and any other monster, that you can make a link 4 monster, so you can keep climbing potentially. So the higher your link rating is, the bigger things you can go into. Which, as you've noticed, we've gone 1, 2, 3 up until this point. You seem stuck on this one. You seem stuck.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like they can limit this card if it's out of hand, and then I think that would do a lot to a deck just trying to spam this effect.
Okay.
So I don't feel like it has to be banned. Maybe it's tutorable, but I notice a lot of tutors are for like things with a lower number, and this has a 2400
well, remember,
attack
these are
and
the
no
extra
defense.
Decks. You have access to these at any time.
Oh,
it's like your 15
right.
card command zone. Yeah.
That's how summoning mechanics work.
That is how they work. Then I see the book is putting in good work.
This is in the extra deck. These.
I think that might change your perception of this card now that you have access to this at all times.
All link monsters come from the extra deck?
Yes, sir.
That's good. That's nice.
You're like, oh, good. Dark is even more broken than I thought he was.
So is that too redundant? Man, for this era, this just seems like it seems like the build around. And again, it's got multiple things on it that are kind of like guideposts on how to handle it. Like, gain control of it and sacrifice it. It doesn't trigger that ability, right? So there's multiple things on it that just kind of keep it in check, and it has hard once per turns, and it's still a good card. I've been wrong about banning other things so far. Like, I guess I'm gonna try to find the line from the other side, because I started with like, this is fine, and then I was like, well, that seems better than that. That was a waste of time. So sure, let's just keep this one legal. Maybe we limit it if it's a lot, but yeah, this is fine, right?
Oh, this might be your worst video yet. This card is banned. Tier Element played this card in the deck that already mills a million cards. This card is very abusable. So basically, the fact that this can bin any card and is accessible through the extra deck. We have cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Foolish Burial that sends any monster from your deck to the graveyard, or Foolish Burial Goods, which sends any spell or trap from your deck to the graveyard. Those cards are good. Foolish Burial is actually limited, as a matter of fact. So the fact that you have Foolish Burial on a Link 3 that you have access to at any moment, assuming you can meet the requirements, is very good. Because then there are ways that you can abuse that, either whatever you send, or you can like add that card back to your hand somehow through other means, not through Curious specifically. There are other cards that can like do that. So it sets up for a lot of very degenerate combos. And people got very sick of this card because it is very good and very banned. You are 0 for 3, CGB. 0 for 3.
Yay. That's great.
You're having a blast. You're having a blast.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Let's show you a Link 4 monster now. We just keep climbing.
Oh my god, I don't even want to look at this. Something about this combination of colors is like actually gross to look at. It hurts my eyes, dude.
This card actually looks great in person. I think the art, like the scan of it, isn't particularly good.
Borreload Dragon.
Borreload.
Yeah, I can. What?
Borreload.
Yeah. Borreload Dragon. Yeah, I can see how it could be good in person.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Loves its flashy anime dragons, for sure.
Yeah, it's a dark attack 3000 Link 4 with its effect is 3+ effect monsters.
Yes, so for this, you can use either a Link 2 monster and 2 Link 1s, or any monster. Any monster is considered a Link 1 in terms of material. So you can do that, or you could use 4 monsters that are all just like Link 1 worth of material. So you get the option. You have to use minimum 3. So you can't go like dark, take someone's dark and make Borreload, because that's only 2 monsters. Even though you meet the Link 4 rating requirement.
Okay. But the last monster can be of like, it can be the smallest of things.
Oh yeah, it could be a token with 0/0, and you could use that. Yeah, that's. Oh,
okay.
They can't be a token because it has to be effect monster, but it has to be. It can be an effect monster that does nothing, and yes, that would count.
Neither player can target this card with monster effects. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field. It loses 500 attack or defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to that. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster in a zone this card points to and take control of it, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn. And I see we have arrows all over the damn place.
Yeah, so for this one, if he's in the extra monster zone, the effect works, but also if he's in the main monster zone, his effect will work. So if you reanimate him somehow, let's say he dies previously and you bring him back, when you resurrect something, it can't go into the extra monster zone because that's only for an actual Link summon. But it can go to a main monster zone, and so since it has left and right arrows, its last effect there, which is arguably its best effect, can still be used, which is nice.
See? This is what people were supposed to be doing to What's-Her-Face, Curious.
Okay.
Right? Because if you take control of it, you're good. That's how you prevented that thing, from doing the thing and getting the stuff.
Exactly. See, it's all connected. It's all connected.
Yes. Why did nobody find this? Why did nobody find this combo? Why did they unearth this? How they wouldn't have had to ban the card if only they knew about Borreload Dragon. Oh, wait. That's a giveaway. You see? 2 things. 1, the fact that this couldn't stop the madness means it wasn't that good, or it would get played more.
Okay.
And then 2, it's a dragon. Timmy's play dragons. This card is fodder. Pure fodder. There's no way they had to ban this card.
Okay.
There's no way. Let me read it one more time. Let's look for the thing I may have missed. It says neither player can target. That's a really funny. There's a few ways to write that. That's one of them. Neither player can target this with monster effects. That is probably immune to a lot of things, granted.
I would say so. Yeah.
You can target a face-up monster on the field. So either turn, you can do this thing. So on your turn, you can make something lose 500. Yep. On their turn, you can make something lose 500.
And it's permanent, and it stacks. So, yep.
And it's permanent, and it stacks. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster. At the start of the damage step, does that mean the damage is never dealt?
Correct. So this is important because during battle, Magic's probably similar to this. There are like sub-steps to how our battle is conducted. Notably, because this is in the damage step, it passes the point where your opponent would be able to react with a lot of like instant or quick effect type effects. because once you're in the damage step, there are very few cards that can be activated during that time. So you pass the window of them like interacting with you when this effect is going to go off. So when it goes off, it goes off.
And you can place that opponent's monster in a zone that this card points to. Send it to the graveyard during the end phase of the next turn. But this is very likely that you're playing it on your turn. So it's going to the graveyard during the end phase of their next turn?
Correct. The end of their next turn, this will go to the graveyard.
Then their monster does defend you.
Also, remember, everything is haste. So if you take something, you can attack with it.
Even if it's inside combat, like this?
So you would
crazy.
You would attack with Borreload Dragon. It takes control of the monster. You're still in the battle phase. And remember, in our game, we attack with everything one at a time. It's not like your game where you have to pick everything to swing at once. So you take control of the monster, and then that monster has haste because there's no summoning sickness, so that monster can also attack.
That is good. It does lose... Is that how that works? Let's see. At the start, if this card attacks an opponent's monster. Okay, are those separate abilities? Because
no, that's all
there's
one
ability. That's all one effect. So you target an opponent's monster, it loses 500. Is
that
that the
those
thing you
two
have
effects.
to attack to gain control of?
Those are two separate effects, yes. The attack reduction and then the take control, those are two separate effects, yes.
You can reduce one thing, attack a different thing.
Correct, if you wanted to. Yep.
Interesting. I mean, it's a heck of a board, kind of flip board effect.
Yeah, he's cool. He's a cool card.
But it is kind of, I mean, it is limited to like monster battling stuff, right?
It is.
I mean, sure, you can steal their stuff and then tribute it and that, and it's good in that a sense. But I feel like there's probably a lot of other. It feels closer to fair than the other cards you've shown me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I may have missed, I have still missed it. I'm gonna say this card is okay.
Final answer.
Yep.
Ding, ding, ding. You're on the board, CGB. You got it.
Thank God.
Borreload
Dragon gave it away.
Honestly, probably the... yeah, we'll see about that. So, Borreload is just a very good card, but he's niche in his utility. Everyone, for the most part, especially when it first came out, played a copy in their extra deck, because if you recall, the extra deck can contain 15 cards, which is crazy. So everyone had it for utility. You weren't summoning it every game. Basically, you summon Borreload Dragon when your opponent has a big sticky thing that's hard to remove because it has like protection from some sort of like specific things. Like targeting, for instance, right? Borreload Dragon doesn't target when it attacks. It just steals the opponent's monster. So, like, he's very good at outing annoying cards that have a lot of protection effects because he's this very unique form of removal that, like, doesn't target, doesn't destroy. You take the monster, and then you can attack with it. You can use its abilities because it doesn't negate the effects. You can then, like, tribute it off or link summon with it or, like, do whatever with it because you have control of it for the rest of your turn. And then if you don't do anything with it, on your opponent's turn, it just gets sent to the graveyard, and it bypasses, like, all of its protection. So, he's just a very strong utility card that still actually sees some play as of today, as a matter of fact. It's very specific to the format, but it's not unrealistic to, like, see this card. He's a very strong card.
All right, the great comeback of our time begins.
All right, speaking of dragons, let's keep the theme going.
Look at this thing. What the heck? Saryuja Skull Dread.
Got it.
Yep. Earth. Just what the wormy hell monster is that? Link is 4. Attack is 2800. It's a dragon. It has arrows all over the place. Up, down, left, right, left. Bottom left, bottom right. Sorry. +2 monsters with different names.
So compared to Borreload Dragon, you can the dark stealing dark thing. You can do that to summon Skull Dread.
Yep.
Just so you know.
This card gains. We'll see.
You'll read
this card gains effects based on the number of materials used for its link summon. Oh, good. Oh, that's nice. 2 if a monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, that monster gains 300 attack defense. That can include the opponent, though, right?
Correct. They do have an arrow, so they can get a slight buff from this. Yep.
3, once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand. Okay, just without paying any of the other costs.
Correct.
Around that monster.
Yep. If it has like 10 stars, you can special summon it out for free. You don't have to tribute summon it. Nothing. Just come right out.
We're just cheaties. Although it seems like every card you show me, I can just assume that you always have the material, so I don't even know if that's necessary ever.
Fair.
Level 4. When this card is link summoned, you draw 4 cards, then place 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order.
I thought you'd like this card.
It sifts. You sift through some cards.
And so for context, you get all the previous effects. So if you link summon this with 4 monsters, you get all 3 effects. So they all stack.
Oh. A little attacky bonus, a little card bonus. Do they resolve in that order?
No, you can well, so the 4 effect does happen on link summon. So that's a trigger effect. So it's a mandatory effect that happens. Oh no, it's you can. So it's an optional effect that you can activate, but that only happens when you summon him. The other 2 effects, the one that gives the attack bonus, that is a mandatory effect. So that one triggers when you summon something to a zone. And then the once per turn during your main phase special summon a monster, that is a sorcery speed ignition effect. So you can choose to do that when you wish.
All right. So if you do all the things, you draw the 4, you place the 3 on the bottom, and then you can
do the other
maybe
2.
have the special summony thingy for like free.
Did you ever think you see a Yu-Gi-Oh card that says draw 4 cards?
Yeah, it would probably say then discard 5, something useful like that. You maniacs
You're not
might
wrong,
play it.
to be fair.
You maniacs might play it. I mean, this is basically look at top 4, pick 1 in a lot. I guess you might have some other stuff in your hand.
I was going to say, it's picking the best hand cards out of your hand minus 3.
Make this.
So.
Yeah, you already played things to make it possible to bring this out. This coming from the extra deck, and then you get like this draw 4, place 3 is kind of like a free resource.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good enough to get you in trouble?
Is that good enough to get you in trouble? What a great question.
I definitely imagine this got played a good amount.
It did.
People really like 4 cards.
People really do like 4 cards.
It's not straight up free though. You've got to have 4 monsters with different names,
which for context is not difficult. It's a cost.
Sure.
I will not say it is not a cost, but in Yu-Gi-Oh, that is very negligible, especially on the type of deck you're playing.
Then you bring this to the link. I mean, the 300 attack / defense is like okay.
It's fine. Like it might be relevant, but it's for the most part that part's pretty negligible, I'll say.
You can plan around some pretty stupid stuff, I'm guessing, with the next 2 abilities. Mm-hmm. Because I'm guessing that basically if this is in your extra deck, the plan is to do both of those abilities combined. So then you wonder, all right, not only are you getting this thing, you get to go 4 cards deeper to find the thing you really want.
Okay.
And then you get to play it for free.
He's cooking.
So it can literally be the best thing in the game, whatever that is. So if there's just assuming that the big bad of the format can win you or lock up a game for you on the spot, this card is an enabler that makes that possible. And I don't recall seeing this line of text often.
I will agree with you. Both lines of text are quite rare on cards.
Dude, you can put like cards from the history of an Eternal format game that doesn't have like any kind of classes or color identity. You can just have the best things of all time, the most I win the games of all time, and this in your extra deck enables you to do it.
But then that begs the question, do you ban this or do you ban that card?
Limiting this won't matter, and that other card, if it's still legal through the history of the game, is legal because the cost or the format or something about it was prohibitive, which means it wasn't a problem before. And since I haven't seen this ability too often, it means the cheaty effect out of the extra deck probably is more likely the problem.
Well, it's special summoning a monster out of your hand, not out of the extra deck. So
yes, but this comes out of the extra deck.
Oh, correct. Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry.
So it's not...
The way you worded it sounded off, so I was just clarifying.
The problem in the cheaty it out decks is usually that you have to play some card that comes with substantial risk to enable a bunch of cards that are almost uncastable, almost unplayable, because of a high restriction of some kind to get onto the field. This just hanging out in the extra deck, and all you have to have are 4 monsters of different names. Not to mention, you only need 3 if it's already in your hand.
That's true. You don't even need to go to the 4. Yep.
So you're just playing monsters. Like that's not Like, you can do that. I've seen your monsters. They tutor, they remove things, they do everything you could want them to do. That's not a restriction. So this being able to sneak out anything and turn any deck into whatever the big bads of the format are is a Timmy dream. I'm sure as soon as they figured out exactly what that thing is, it got old. And I can't wait for you to show me the big bads they got. I'm gonna say they got tired of this. This got banned.
So let's talk about Saryuja. Very beloved card. Very broken card in some contexts, because again, it's very rare that we get to draw so many cards off of a single card, even though you're bottoming 3. The fact that if you have, like, let's say 3 cards in hand when you summon Saryuja, the fact you get to pick the best, 4 cards out of 7 to keep, and you're bottoming the other 3, like, who cares? Sometimes that's a benefit to you because you draw cards that you didn't want in the first place anyway. You're correct. The 3+ effect that allows you to special summon is very broken, because there are plenty of cards in the game that say your opponent can't special summon monsters, or like both players can't special summon monsters, but who cares if you already did your whole turn because now you locked your opponent, right? So there's a bunch of these like stack / floodgatey type monsters that, you're correct, like, are bad, and you don't really want to like have them unless you're going to go into the Saryuja combo. But if you assemble it, like, it's game winning. And there's also plenty of decks that were like deep draw decks that would try to allow you to draw through your whole deck, and Saryuja, something you may have missed, has no hard once per turns on any of its effects. So if you have multiple copies of Saryuja in your extra deck and you're able to summon multiple Saryuja, which is not difficult depending on the deck, you can dig through your deck quite quickly to find these particular win conditions, and gets out of hand really quick, but was never banned. I think maybe in the Asian territories, they limited it to a singular copy when this card was sort of degenerate in a particular deck that was like winning as like an FTK sort of strategy. But I believe here in the TCG, this card's always been at 3, and it's always just been a very good card that people have always used.
Okay, so any deck cheating out anything is fine. Okay.
There is the cost to it. Like, you do have to get into it. Also, like, you can just like negate the effects. Like, we have hand traps that negate effects. So like, if your opponent's doing the combo and they send their whole board to Saryuja because that's the main part of their game plan. If you have an effect veiler or a card that negates the effects of Saryuja Skull Dread at quick effect speed, they're just sitting there with a 2800 guy doing nothing, and they just probably pass the turn. So like, we do have ways to like interact with it, which I think definitely keeps the card in check.
Why that? But that doesn't apply to Curious, huh?
It does. It still does. But it's just like,
okay.
Curious sets up the degenerate stuff a lot quicker because it tutors exactly what you need. Saryuja, you still have to like get into the card to make it degenerate. Like, you're not guaranteed to have it. And I think that's a big difference between the two.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
You're not buying it.
Okay.
You're not buying it.
This seems like a lot of. It's fine. It's a cool card.
You're not buying it.
I approve. It
is a cool card. It lets you draw cards, and it's blue. How could you not approve of it? Anyway, here you go.
Topologic Zeroboros.
Correct.
It's another one that hurts my eyes. What's going on? All right. Attack is 3,000. Link is 4. Arrows are in the corners. All of them. +2 effect monsters. You cannot summon or set monsters to any extra monster zone this card points to. Oh, that's different.
It is. So obviously you would summon him in the extra monster zone, but you will see later he may have a revival effect where that could come up.
Gains 200 attack for each banished card. If another monster is special summoned to a zone a Link monster points to,
that includes him.
While this monster is on the field, banish all cards on the field. Once per turn during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished by its own effect, special summon this banished card. Mm-hmm. What?
Cool card, huh?
What is going on? Okay, I have to read this like 10 times. That's great. If another monster is special summoned to a zone it points to, while this monster is on the field, banish all cards on the field. The whole thing. Not face down. So face down is like gone forever. Is that right?
Correct.
So banish is like its own little pile.
Well, banishing face down and banishing are still the same pile, but it's like one's face down, some's face down, some's face up.
Once per turn during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished by its own effect, special summon this banished card. So all the other cards stay banished, yes?
Correct. Everything else stays. He comes back. Or everything else gets banished. He comes back.
during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished by its own effect. So you play this.
Yep.
You sack 2 effect monsters.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot summon set monsters this card points to. Gains 200 attack for each mass card.
Yeah. So I'll clarify that. So when it comes back to the main monster zone. Remember, I told you they only go in the extra monster zone if they're being summoned there. So it comes back to a main monster zone. You can put this in the center column if you want to go back and look at the little diagram that I showed you. You could put this in the middle monster zone column. It is now pointing to both the left and right extra monster zones. So then neither player can summon monsters to that zone. Or you rather cannot do that.
Okay.
So you basically just don't put him there.
So how do you cannot summon or set monsters to any extra monster zone this points to. If another monster is summoned to a zone it points to while this is on the field, banish. So how the heck are you supposed to special summon something when you can't summon or set things to the thing it points to?
It's only the extra monster zones. You can still use your main monster zones for everything. And that's also, like, when he's in the extra monster zone, he's not pointing to any extra monster zones. So, like, you're fine there. Or am I misunderstanding the question?
When it's in the extra monster zone, so you can put this in the extra monster zone, but not anything else. If another monster special summons it, so then special summoning is fine.
Correct.
Because those are regular spots.
Yeah, you can do special summoning to regular spots. That's fine.
And you summon to a place that this points to.
Right, which will be either end of the columns or the middle column if he's in the extra monster zone. Yep.
So you had to commit a special summoning of something.
Correct.
Probably something that when it leaves the battlefield does something nice for you.
Or if your opponent special summons to a zone that it points to, and it's also any link monster. So hypothetically, if they use their extra monster zone to summon a link monster, if they special summon something to whatever it points to, look at Linkuriboh, right? Linkuriboh points straight down. So if they special summon something to Linkuriboh's arrow as well, that would trigger the Zeroboros.
I wonder how many people have done that accidentally. I bet it's great.
It has happened more than you would think because people don't realize it's any link monster zone or any arrow.
I think it's plenty. Banish all... God, the first week of this card must have been fun. Banish all cards on the field. All of them.
All of them.
Once per turn during the standby phase of the next turn after this was banished, special summon it. So now it's in a normal spot. It gets 200 for each banished card from both sides of the field.
Yep. And
so
you would probably want to put it in that middle zone because then it's pointing to both extra monster zones. So if your opponent special summons anything to an extra monster zone, it triggers it again and banishes everything on the field.
It's still a link monster. Now it points to even more places than before. So that means you can do the thing again.
You can keep doing it. Yep. And it's getting bigger each time because it's banishing more stuff.
And you can shut down extra monster zones.
Correct. Effectively.
For the opponent and yourself?
You're not able to summon to the extra monster zone if he's pointing to it, but your opponent can, but it'll just trigger the Zeroboros because you can only special summon to the extra monster zone. So you're effectively shutting it down for both of you, but they can, like, trigger it, you know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Sure.
Fun card, huh?
Okay. Oh man. I'm remembering the one punch deck that you
This was a card they may have played in that deck, as a matter of fact. So then you have let's see, if you're banishing 10 cards off Desires, if you're banishing 10 cards off Golden Castle, that's an extra, 4,000 damage this card gets to go up to 7,000. That seems good. Yeah.
If this card were in the commander format, it would be banned on site. Not close. People hate getting their stuff exiled. Just hate it.
Really?
Just hate it.
Mass exile at
Mass
multiple
exile
times.
effects. Nope. This would be banned on site.
That's funny. Well, was it banned in Yu-Gi-Oh? That was the question.
This would be banned upon being previewed in Commander. It's weird because I don't think I've seen cards like this that kind of trigger in this way.
Yeah, I don't think you have, to be fair.
This
is a very unique effect. Yeah.
The idea of touching like the hot spots that are near it for
it's kind of fun,
player,
right? It's like a game within a game,
A little. I think I hate it. I hate a lot of things in general, but I think I hate this a lot.
Just wait till we get to the last few cards I have to show you.
So it says during the standby phase of the next turn after this was banished, and that is the opponent's turn.
Correct. So like if you triggered on your turn, you banish the whole field. Then on your opponent's standby phase, it comes back.
And they don't get a chance to like respond by putting anything in those zones before this comes back.
No, because it comes back in the standby phase. So the main phase will be after. That's when they can do their actions. Yeah.
Jesus, unless they have that's annoying.
Unless they have quick effects that let them do that, but that's I don't even know if that exists, to be honest with you.
And its number is huge. So these don't have a defense. Like they just never do. When somebody attacks this, it's always in attack position. But if it did the banish thing, the number go up. The number probably be way up. So hard to kill, hard to attack and kill. So they need, I don't know, removal? Good old removal. And this is gone. It did the thing. I guess there are hand traps, right? You can quick effect this thing. You can mess up their attempts.
There's no hand trap that kills a monster like on sight that I can think of, but you can like hypothetically, if they go Zeroboros, like they summon something to trigger it to banish everything, there are cards that you could use to like negate that effect, so Zeroboros just stays on the field and doesn't mass exile everything. So we have ways to negate the effect. There's no way to like kill them on sight though.
I feel like I could stare at this card for an hour and still not really understand how the game goes. Is this on Master Duel? Do I have a new achievement to unlock someday? Oh, good. Can't wait. Someday we got to do this.
If we do a series with like you and Raren or something where you go through Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe you'll play this card someday. Maybe.
Dude, if you had me play this against Voxy, she'd quit gaming. I hate this so much. Retire from streaming. That's what this does. I feel like I could stare at this for a long time and not be closer to actually fully comprehending. But there is something inside me.
You figured out the One Punch Man
thing. Stupid.
So that's good.
There's something inside me that's probably stupid that says this is a Yu-Gi-Oh card and it's fine. And I don't know why.
Is that what you're gonna go with? Is that what you're gonna go with?
Is that what I'm gonna go with? They exile everything else on the field, but it feels like Yu-Gi-Oh needs. I just haven't seen many effects like this. It feels like it needs it, man. Because it feels like the game is just, ooh, I combo off, and that's all that happens in the game. I feel like traps like this are necessary. This is like a trap on board, and I like that about it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
It's also like...
You can also trigger it on your opponent's turn if you have a way to like special summon something to one of the zones he points to.
Yeah, dude, that's sick.
That's sick.
That's sick.
It's
this
cool.
card's sick.
It's cool.
Is it fine? What the hell? Let's roll with this. This feels like a trap card for me. I'm gonna say this is fine.
Final answer?
Yeah.
You got it. It's fine.
Oh, thank God.
I can't believe you actually. I thought you were gonna think this was like Giga Bad for sure.
Oh my God.
That's why I picked it. But no, you got it. He's just a good card. Like not every deck runs it, funny enough. Like, you would think every deck would want to play this card, but no, only a few decks have played it, historically speaking. I don't think it's really seen any play, like, lately, that I can think of. I'm sure someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but overall, it's just like a good card. Like, it's kind of like Borreload Dragon, where it's just, like, sort of situational, in a way. There are plenty of ways to, like, just remove it from the field. Like, it's not difficult to deal with a Zeroboros. Like, it can be under the right circumstances, but I would say for the most part, it's not, like... It really depends on the type of deck that you're playing, because some decks, like, just don't care about this card, and other decks just, like, fold to it, because banishing, like, everything is just, like, backbreaking. So, yeah, just another very solid Yu-Gi-Oh card that's seen plenty of play, but not ban-worthy in the slightest.
Cool.
You got it. All right, we got a few left here, and some of the best for last. What do you think about this guy?
Accesscode Talker. Talker? Okay. Let's see. Attack 2300, Link 4. Cyburst. Link effect. 2+ effect monsters. Having such fun reading. It points in all the non-corner directions.
There you go.
North, south, east, west. Let's go.
Orthogonal directions.
Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect activations. If this card is link summoned, you can target one link monster that was used as its link material. And this card gains attack equal to the monster's link rating times 1,000.
So I'll stop you there. If you do like the dark into dark thing, you can link them both into Accesscode Talker because they're both linked 2s. 2 + 2 = 4. And so then you can use one of the darks for that effect as a link rating of 2. So Accesscode Talker goes up 2,000 to 4,300 attack.
You can banish one link monster from your field or graveyard. Destroy one card your opponent controls. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot banish monsters with the same attribute to activate this effect of Accesscode Talker.
So hypothetically, if you have all 6 attributes in the graveyard, you can banish all 6 of them to pop 6 of your opponent's cards.
Oh.
Sound good?
And your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this effect activations.
Great line of text. My favorite.
I mean, the attack thing is nice and all, but I don't even know if that matters. I mean, I'm sure it's not bad. It's just nice. The part is where you just get to pop everything by banishing stuff.
They can't respond to it.
I mean, that's the thing that gets everybody talking about Talker, right? That's the thing. So a 1 card, like kind of one-sided board clear if you achieve enough different attributes in the graveyard. How hard is that? I'm sure that there's sacrifices in some way. I'm sure that some of your spots aren't optimal, but are the arrows good arrows? Is this what we want in our arrows?
Again, the arrows don't really matter here. He gives you a down arrow, which is good. That's like, as long as you get like a down arrow, you're pretty happy. 6
different attributes. I mean, are any of those attributes like unplayable? Am I overvaluing it because some things are just useless?
Like no deck is going to play all 6 attributes because I don't think there's ever been a strategy that like, aside from like really bad old ones that want you to do that, like on average, you're probably going to get like 2 to 3 pops off of this guy.
Good to know. Good to know. See, that is closer to just fair, right? Because like whatever you're doing, you're filling your graveyard and then you're going to pop and you actually get to destroy things. Like the opponents are probably tilted that they can't do anything about it. But that feels more Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 to me, of just everything also destroys stuff. And this doesn't get value in some other way. It doesn't have a tutor like tied to it or anything of that nature. You know what I mean? So it feels to me like you fill your graveyard, you put out some monsters, you play this, you pop 2 or 3 things off the opponent's board, and now you're trying to attack them for lethal. The opponent can't respond to the effect of this, but they can still do other effects to try to keep the monsters from hitting them. This is where, like, you probably want to use it some kind of this is where you want to prevent attacks. Like this feels like a game ender, you know? Like you're trying to finish the game, not prolong the game. Because I think if you're just playing this to pop like 3 things and you pass back, that the opponent can just kind of respond by building a board and going off again, because that seems what Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 does.
Yeah, okay.
So I like this as like a threat, and especially in the extra deck, and especially when you see the opponent start dropping their different attributes, right? They're going to be like, okay, it's Talker. Like Talker is coming. And there will be times where that feels helpless because you deploy your stuff and you know it's just going to get popped and then you're going to die. But there's also like sideboarding. There are things you can do. Like you use different elements to try to combat this. So I'm going to say this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 card, but not a banned one.
Final answer?
Yeah.
This card's nuts. I don't know what you're talking about. No, you're fine. You're right. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Wow. You've really cut back on the, like, just totally slow, like, messing with me. And now it's more effective.
I gotta change it up.
Yeah.
I gotta change it up.
I'm used to it every time.
I know. And now you're like, you know, a break, like your heart stops because I just tell you. No, you actually hit it right on the head with this. I was very impressed. This is what we call like a finisher, for instance. So like if your opponent is under like, let's say 4,000 life points, because like it's very easy to get a Link 2 in the graveyard. Sometimes you can get a Link 3 and get the 5,300, but the Link 2 I think is more common. If your opponent's under like 4,000 life points and they're not really representing many threats, you just link an Accesscode Talker, pop their board, and just hit him for lethal, and that's usually enough. That's like exactly what you use this for. In rare cases, if you're like on the back foot and you just need to like kind of clean up the board and hope your opponent doesn't have a way to follow up, you might make like a defensive Accesscode Talker for that, but that never feels particularly good. But it's an option. And again, being in the extra deck, it's cool. We have a toolbox of cards that we can use at any moment. Very good card, very strong card, but not ban worthy. I think it's just it fills its role quite well as being a finisher, if you will. But you Raren thought this was the most broken card I've ever shown him in my life, which was hilarious when I showed this to him.
Oh, I love a good Raren thought this. I know I did something right when that happened.
If anything with this video, you can take solace that you beat Raren on that one. All right, couple cards left. Let's see what you think about this one. I should have saved this one for the waifu video, to be honest.
I wonder why. Underworld goddess of the closed world. Why are you okay? There's an up arrow. There's a northeast, and an east, and a southeast, and a south.
She's a Link 5.
She ain't into the west. That's what we know. Okay. Link 5, our first Link 5, with an attack of 3,000 and a cost of 4 effect monsters. 4 or more. That's what the asterisk means, basically.
That's a plus, but yeah, sure.
Oh, it's a plus?
Yeah.
How could I possibly read it? I have this thing blown up on an ultra-wide monitor, and I can't tell what that is. You can also use one monster your opponent controls as material to link. Oh, that's good. Do I need to go further?
You do. Okay. It gets better. It gets better.
We talked about how it's come up so many more times than I expected that tributing the opponent's stuff is the way.
It's cool, right?
To get around stuff.
Yeah, and this was in the extra deck. So you always have access to her.
So yeah, like nice in magic terms, shroud or hexproof creature. I'm just gonna
brace yourself. It gets better. It gets better.
If this card is link summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls.
I told you it gets better. Just wait. It keeps going.
So is that ongoing? You can negate the effects. You can
Correct.
negate. That's
currently
weird.
Well, so it's an optional effect, and then it's currently controlled. So if they summon new cards, those are unaffected. But the ones that are on the field, as long as they're on the field, they're negated. Yeah.
So this happens when summoned?
On summon, yes, because when it's link summoned. But not if you reanimate it. It's only if it's summoned from the extra deck.
If this link summoned card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, unless they target this card. I definitely read something wrong there. This link summoned card is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, unless they target this card.
So if it targets, it works against her. But if it's like a board wipe, it doesn't.
Okay, it's like the opposite of hexproof and shroud. Okay, sure. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a card or effect that special summons a monster from the graveyard, at quick effect, you can negate this activation. That's nice, since people like their graveyard a lot. Mm-hmm. Well, using your opponent's monster is juice, so it, in its own way, is immediately removal.
Uh-huh.
You can negate the effects of all. Like, how much should I buy into these arrows?
The arrows don't matter.
Okay, I haven't seen arrows like that, so just wanted to check.
It gives you down arrows, which is good, but for the most part, you don't care.
The arrow count on this card, Simo, is so high.
Well,
it has to be banned. No card should point this way. Yeah. No card should point like this ever. Okay. Let's see. What I really want is just the totally random arrows that have no pattern. That would just blow my mind.
Oh, there's some. Right. Like if there's some that are like top left and then down, for instance.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Why not? Right? Yeah. Just really mess with the OCD out there.
Yeah.
This link summon card is unaffected by activate effects unless it's the target. All right. A board clear. So what happens with the Banishy card we just did? Does this stay?
The Banishy card. What are you talking about? Zeroboros?
Yeah, that banishes everything.
That would be. This would be unaffected by Zeroboros. So it would stay.
Wow. See, that's why the card's fine. It's unaffected by your opponent's activate effects unless they target this. Trying to think of what else that could imply. Because it feels like there's something more to it.
So like they couldn't Borreload it, for instance, because Borreload doesn't target. So like they couldn't steal it with a Borreload. Yeah, the Zeroboros thing wouldn't get destroyed because that doesn't target. Like any sort of board wipe, like we have board wipes. That's just a spell card, destroy all monsters on the field. Like wouldn't die to that. Yeah. So as long as it doesn't target, it's unaffected.
And you can't. So say you have an Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, and your opponent plays an Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. It can't steal this one. It can't steal yours, right? Because it doesn't target it. Or
you can link off a goddess for your own goddess. That's allowed. Because it doesn't, summoning doesn't like target. That's just a mechanic. Okay. So yeah, so if your opponent has a goddess and you have the material and they have their goddess, you can make your own goddess. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Using a monster for like a summon bypasses like every like protection effect in the game. Unless it says like it can't be tributed. That's like, and no, even then that would still bypass the summoning mechanic, just except for tribute summoning specifically. I cannot think of a card in the game that has protection from like Unless the only way to stop that is if the monster says you can't special summon, because then you physically can't summon stuff from the extra deck. That's like the only protection from that type of effect.
Now, I mean, I've spent time on those abilities. If this card is link summoned, you can negate the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent currently control. So if they have an Abyss Dweller, do you just suddenly get access to your graveyard?
No.
Does it do that?
Because Dweller is a lingering effect, and it's even if you negate Abyss Dweller, the effect is still active, assuming they already activated it prior to Goddess being summoned.
Okay, so lingering effects, no.
But there's very few lingering effects in the game. It's like,
okay.
But any other type of effect that would negate, yes.
The other floodgates, as you put them,
would stop
does this
floodgates,
commonly?
Yeah. So if there's a floodgate type effect, it would stop that. Yes, that would
this commonly beats floodgates. It can beat floodgates.
Yeah, it can. Or like maybe it has protection by battle, or like, maybe, you know, just like there's a whole host of crap that this can negate.
I mean, there's all kinds of text that maybe you just shut down. All those things that say like once per turn.
Right.
Yeah.
It will stop quick effects. Yep.
All those quick effects can't be used. I mean, that's people like using their cards, but like, okay, I can see that line of text is really good. I can see that getting the opponent's card is really good. I can also see that negating their graveyard stuff is going to be very obnoxious, but probably something, honestly, this game needs based on all the graveyard stuff. All of this is good. I'm saying it's good. I get it's good. The thing that keeps ringing in my head is that this is what a level 5 Link monster is probably supposed to be. It's probably supposed to warp the damn game. It's probably supposed to make you play differently. This is another card that feels Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 to me, and while it's got the floodgatey, like, it's a gate that negates gates, you know? So, like, it can push through a combo in a spot where you need to. It's a removal effect that gets around things, but you can see it coming. Like, it's a Link 5. I'm like,
if you see at any point your opponent, let's say you have a monster, and your opponent has 4 material worth of Link, at any point, they can just swipe up the whole board and go into Goddess. So it is telegraphed to an extent. But the mind games come in if they have it in their extra deck or not. So that's another part of it that's very fun about this card. Because if they don't have it, you might play differently. But you don't know. You don't know.
But I mean, honestly, I'm going to say it's not banned. Because I feel like this is what a level 5 should be. It should change the game if you're going all the way.
You gonna die on that hill?
I mean, I'm gonna live, but can I live with myself? Let's find out. I'm sticking with it.
You were correct, CGB. This card is totally fine. I love the dynamic that Goddess adds to the game. Like, anytime there's those types of cards where your opponent has to consider whether or not they have it, especially with Goddess being in the extra deck, so it's so easy just as your 14th or 15th extra deck card to throw Goddess in. I love those types of effects. There have been plenty of those throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history, and this is definitely one of them that warps the game in a way that it's like, damn, at any point, if they have the material to make Goddess, do I respect it or not? And granted, in games 2 or 3, maybe you got Goddess in game 1. Now you know that they have it, so you're going to play around it differently. But if you don't see it until like game 3 or something, or game 2, if you lost the first one, then it can get you. It's like one of those like, gotcha sort of cards, right? It does a lot, and for a Link 5, I agree with you. I think it should be this powerful, and does see quite a bit of play. It's sort of another utility card like Borreload Dragon and such. You're not going to play it every game, but there are games it comes up, and again, just being that very unique form of removal where you can link away one of your opponent's cards. If your opponent's playing a deck that sort of, we call them like towers decks, where you just funnel all your resources into one big unkillable guy, Goddess can clear it. So it's like, it's a neat out to those types of cards. And then they lose most likely because they have no follow-up. So yeah, very strong card and not banned. You got it right on the nose. You've been improving throughout this whole video. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Blame the notebook. Last
but not least, we have the poster child of the Link summoning mechanic. Give this guy a read.
Firewall Dragon. Yep, there's another dragon that's probably really shiny in person. North, south, east, west arrows, and a Link 4 attack 2500. 2+ monsters. Once while face up on the field, quick effect, you can target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters co-linked to this card. Return them to the hand.
So co-link for context. Co-link, you need to have something pointing to it, and it's pointing to something next to it. So, like, if you have, let's say he's in the extra monster zone, something below him directly needs to be pointing up because he's pointing down at that monster. So that's what co-link means.
If a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one monster from your hand.
What you thinking?
So you point it up at the opponent's stuff, right? And then you kill it, and then you get a freebie?
You can.
But you can also point it at your stuff and tribute summon it,
or any sort of mechanic. Yeah, it just says send to graveyard.
Or attack. Just attack into something.
That's true.
And let it have it die.
Yep.
And so you get a free summon. All right, and it's only 2+ monsters.
Very generic.
So let's see. Yeah, we sack 2 monsters.
You can do that dark into dark play. That's, easy.
Yep. We gotta get the link to 4, but okay.
Well, that's 2 and 2, so it would make 4.
And you can target monsters on the field and or graveyard up to the number of monsters co-linked to this card and return them to hand. So you can bounce.
Get a bounce effect. Yep. And remember, if you bounce something summoned from the extra deck, it goes back to the extra deck. So it is like basically removal.
Yeah, you play this into the link zone or whatever, and you bounce the opponent's linked monster.
Yeah,
no, wait, no, that's not.
That works.
Yeah, it is, because it points
sideways. As long
sideways.
as it's co-linked, it works. Yeah.
It points sideways, and you can bounce something off their field as well, right? So yeah, you can possibly bounce multiple things. You can bounce your own thing.
So for instance, right,
free.
you can put Linkuriboh in the extra monster zone. That points down, right? Then if you have enough material, you can put Firewall Dragon underneath Linkuriboh in the main monster zone. Now those two are co-linked, so you have at least one bounce there. But Firewall also points left and right, so if you summon a monster on either side of him that's co-linked, you can get multiple bounces in that way.
There's no once per turn on this card, Timo.
Interesting you point that out. Is that problematic?
Bouncing stuff around, especially like if you had multiple copies of this, that...
Well, the bounce effect is once per turn. The other effect is not. It says once while face up on the field.
It's
basically once per turn, but it's actually...
Is it?
It's hindered more, because you can only do it once.
Because you could... What if something else bounces this and then you play it again? Does that mean you already did it?
That works.
That works?
Yes, because it's once while face up on the field. He's cooking.
The
alarm bells are going off.
They are. I'm smelling what in Magic I call Hullbreaker Horror lines. Well, not what I call it. That's the name of one of the cards. It's Hullbreaker Horror. And it just says whenever you cast like a non-creature spell, you can return any permanent to hand.
That sounds frustrating. Okay.
Yeah. It's a big funny lobster, and the idea is you bounce something that makes mana with something else that makes mana, and you go mana positive, and you have infinite mana. Ta-da!
Fun.
Yeah, easy. And that's why it's a 7-mana monster. You have to like cheat it out and find ways to like get it on the field. And this is just free. Well, kinda. You get the 2 monsters. Comparatively. But it has Hullbreaker Horror lines. And those are that's how you can go off.
Not to mention, you can link summon multiple Firewall Dragons, and you can just co-link them to themselves, and each of them has the ability to bounce. So there's that.
Yeah, you can throw those in the extra deck and just, it's ta-da, Firewall Dragon, returning Firewall Dragon, playing Firewall Dragon, returning Firewall Dragon, and other things because of the arrows. So throw in another piece that like mills you and you have access to your whole deck. What are we doing? Okay, so then you can special summon one thing from hand, you dig through your deck and you put out the one thing you need to. Wow. Okay.
This was actually one of the first Link monsters, if you can believe that.
I believe it. They want to send a message off the bat.
This is like, for context, the Blue Eyes White Dragon of the like newest anime's protagonist.
Well, then they did a good job making it a villain. So you can restrict this. You can limit this and maybe make it okay.
You can.
Because
so you think the problem's multiple
off itself seems important. Well, that is a problem.
Okay. A problem.
I'm sure it didn't take long to figure that out. If a monster this card points to is destroyed by Bellsing, you can special summon. So cheating stuff out with the other extra deck dude, the other dragon, where'd you go? Saryuja was fine. Saryuja is in many ways like the...
Saryuja only gets to do it once though.
And this can just kind of go and go and go. I don't like it. But does limiting it fix it? If this is there on its own and you bounce something off their board, something off your board, and then you attack something left over, it's destroyed, or you just sacrifice your own thing that you just played and got some value with, and then you special summon something because of that effect, and then that attacks and kills something or gets sacrificed. You can special summon again. Yeah, because that's not a once per turn. So this means you don't need materials to special summon anymore, kinda.
Pretty good, huh? Pretty good, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you don't have costs in your game anyway, but at least you had to think about your materials. As far as like cheating out one thing with the other card, now this can just go, it can go forever. If you just find a way to get access to more cards or just return the same stuff over and over. Like all you need is something that literally digs through. All you need is some way to access your deck, and this does everything else for you. Yeah, I bet there's like just some card that's like, I don't know, somehow draws a card in a very bad way, and you put it next to this and you win the game. I mean, I'm sure they tried limiting it. Did they have to ban it? Like this is probably
the last decision of the video.
Yep. And this might be this might be the best card you've shown me. Putting that next to Curious is, I get that. That's a problem.
Okay. That's good. That's fair. You can look back at what they've banned so far. That's fair.
Would they ban the new antagonist's
protagonist
dragon? The new protagonist dragon.
That's like banning Blue Eyes White Dragon. Think about
Would they do it?
Would they do it?
God.
This was a very interesting question in the community, I will say. Will they do it?
Yes, they will.
You think they did it?
Yes, they will.
You think they did it? Banned?
Yep, I think they did.
Final answer.
Final answer.
You pretty much figured it out. Firewall is absolutely absurd. The fact that the second effect does not have a once per turn is the most egregious because, remember, our game has tutors for tutors upon tutors. So we don't even need, like, to draw cards. We can just summon a guy off Firewall as long as it's pointing to the Firewall, link it away, or, like, synchro it or whatever. Like, just get it to the graveyard. Maybe that, like, you summon another guy, maybe, that triggers Firewall, and it triggers the guy in the graveyard, so you can get, the guy in the graveyard searches you a guy from the deck, so you get to play another guy, and you just keep the loop going forever. As long as you're playing a deck, or a way to just constantly give yourself fodder to summon off a Firewall Dragon, this card is beyond broken. This card is absolutely fucking cracked. The first effect to bounce is also quite relevant, too. I would say it's less relevant than the second effect, but, insane card. I cannot believe like this was like the face of the protagonist of like the new anime, and this was like to introduce us into Link summoning. So look what they had to do to our boy. It's so sad. So sad. It actually got errataed.
Oh, okay. So they banned it, then errated it?
Read the card.
Once while face up on the field, you can target monster in the field and or graveyard any number of co-link this card. Return them to hand.
That
if
part's
a monster
the same.
This card points to is destroyed. Okay. You can special summon one Cyberverse monster from your hand. So you can only use it once per turn.
Yep. So for context, Cyberverse was a new type that they introduced to the game. They do this very infrequently. It's basically just supposed to be like, you know, coding, you know, like anything to do with like computers and stuff like that. Hence Firewall Dragon and some of the other cards you've seen, like Lanphorhynchus and stuff. So they heavily nerfed this card, considering you have to special summon specifically a Cyberverse monster, and then they tag the once per turn clause on it as well, which also limits the first effect. It says you can only use each effect once per turn. So before, you could have multiple Firewall Dragons and represent multiple bounces on your opponent's turn because they were quick effects, which is also quite good. But they neutered the boy because of the anime, but not after they banned it for a long period of time. You are correct. You got it right.
Woo, yes.
You missed my long monologue, so I thought I'd try to trip you up there with that one. But you are correct. They did ban Firewall, and they eventually brought it back with the errata. And funny enough, this may shock you. Funny enough, even with the errata, it sees play. It's crazy. It still sees play.
I'd still say that's pretty good.
Yeah, there's a Cyberverse-based deck actually right now that plays Firewall Dragon, because it's, even though with all the nerfs, it's still good enough to see play. It's still just a good card, generally speaking. So I'd say you did pretty well. I'd say you had a bit of a rocky start, but I think you slowly started to, I think you started to piece it together. What do you think about link summoning compared to the other mechanics?
Honestly, once I got past having to learn another summoning mechanic, it's not the weirdest of them. You know, it's not even close to the weirdest. I think it's the most simple,
to be honest.
Yeah,
because it requires
closer to intuitive.
Yeah, it's very intuitive. I think like the arrows are a bit weird at first, and I honestly feel if they gave us link summoning before every other summoning mechanic, it'd be a lot easier. Can you believe they actually had to buff this mechanic
after the dragon? After the Firewall dragon?
Yeah,
they had to buff the mechanic.
Yep. They had to buff the mechanic. So I didn't disclose this. This brought with us Master Rule 4. This is like a rule change set. Like, so when we got Pendulums, we had Master Rule 3. So now we're in Master Rule 4 with Link Monsters. And so in the original Master Rule 4, we're on Master Rule 5 now for context, you had to summon anything from your extra deck, whether it's Synchro, Xyz, Fusion, other Link Monsters, to a zone that a Link Monster points to, or use that one slot in the extra monster zone. That severely crippled so many decks from being able to play because you had to go into a Link Monster first and then go into like whatever guy you want to play. That when Master Rule 5 rolled around, they removed that restriction. So now you're able to summon your Fusions, your Synchros, your Xyz monsters to the main monster zone. And it doesn't matter that they're linked to a Link Monster. I kind of think they did that because they wanted to sell a new set of cards and they had to force you to play them. But I mean, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist here. It just made the game way less fun because so many decks were just like unplayable unless they were given the proper Link support to be good. So people rejoiced when Master Rule 5 came out because now all the decks are like playable for the most part. And it's way more fun as a result. So I'm glad they made the change.
Beautiful. Well, that was a heck of a link to the past we just had.
Ha! Funny.
Thanks.
So guys, that's going to wrap it up for another video. I really hope you all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and shout the patrons for all their continued support. So shouts to Shout1317, Tim00x3, MBT Play Madolce, Moto, Cameron L. Smith, The Synchro Guy, Pony Stark, Dan the Man Hoban, Little Fadeleaf, Draconic, Brian Dancer of Class 7, Dylan Rare Hunter, JW11860, Flannel Daddy, literally all of the guinea pigs, Cheeks McLapperty, Stolfin Amethyst, MBT canceled by community soon, canceled by all committees soon, canceled by all players soon, Wonder Waffle, MBT and Nimnims 1, Boxer Brief, Fueled Knight of Passion, Daniel Howell, Electrician of the Ice Barrier, Arco, and the Nova 129. Thank you again so much for watching, and we will see you next time.